Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It is 3:30 a.m., bright and early here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, now today I want to talk about Issiah Brown, 32 years old. I came across this story yesterday morning, exactly 24 hours ago. And the story was just so bizarre. I needed to wait. I wanted to get more information on this before I talked about it because to me it was something out of a horror movie, out of like Psycho or Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something. It was just so bizarre. We've all heard stories of unarmed black men being accosted, assaulted, shot by police, right? But this story was just, there was something, it was just so bizarre. I needed more information before I started talking about it. It's still bizarre, but I'll have all the links down below. They released the body cams and the 911 call, and it is still hurtful, aggravating, a story of incompetence by the police officer, but it has a little more context at least, because before yesterday morning it was just something that was out of a horror movie. It still kind of is, but all right, let me start at the beginning. I came across this, like I said, I came across this story yesterday morning, Friday morning, 3:30 a.m. This incident happened 48 hours before that. Happened at Wednesday morning at 2:30 a.m. Virginia, Spotsylvania, Virginia. Issiah Brown broke down he was at a gas station. Apparently his car ran out of gas. An officer or sheriff came across him at the gas station and gave him a ride home at 2:30 a.m. He gets dropped off at his home. His brother's there. The officer actually tells his brother is the one that relayed the story to the press, that the officer told him that, don't worry, your brother's not in trouble. I'm just giving him a ride home. You know, the officer seemed kind and helpful. Drops Issiah, 32 years old, off at home with his brother. The officer leaves. Now, 911 gets a call from Issiah minutes later. Issiah is upset. The brother apparently said that he's not sure why Issiah called, that maybe he wanted to ride back to his car. Maybe he was worried about his car being towed, which doesn't make sense. You don't call 911 to get a ride back to go fetch your car. 911 isn't a cab service. But anyway, the same officer that just did him this favor by giving him a ride home comes back. He comes across Issiah, the same guy he gave a ride home to, and draws his service revolver, his service weapon, tells Issiah to put his hands up, and then hits him 10 times, shoots him 10 times. I think it empties the clip. And Issiah Brown was shot 10 times in the hospital now. He's recovering. I think he was shot to the pelvis, the leg, chest, arm, 10 times by the same policeman who just not even an hour before gave him a ride home. I came across this story yesterday morning, and I just, like I said, this is something out of a horror movie where you have an evil twin or Psycho or Invasion of the Body Snatchers, because how did this officer, it makes no sense. All right, I have links down below, and apparently the 911 call and the vest cam has been released, and it's still, I don't know, to me it just looks like gross incompetence by the officer, and that's, I'm no professional, that's my opinion, but it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But like I said, the link is down below. Now, through the vest cam and the 911 call, apparently there was some kind of argument between Issiah and his brother after the police officer dropped him off. Issiah called up 911 and said, I'm going to kill my brother. Let me put a pin in this right here. I was arrested for this very thing one time. I had come home intoxicated. This is back when I was living with a sibling. And we got in an argument because I was making a lot of noise. My sibling called the police. Police showed up. I woke up with police officers all around my bed. They kept pushing me because I had told my sibling that if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to kill you. I would never hurt my sibling, of course. And then I fell asleep. I woke up with officers all around my bed. And I said, I was angry. I just want to go to sleep. I was angry. I don't know what I said. And they kept pushing me. Did you say you were going to kill her? Did you say you were going to kill her? Did you say you were going to kill her? And I finally got fed up. I just wanted to go back to sleep. I said, yes, I said that. I didn't even finish that sentence. And they had me out of the bed and handcuffed, and I was arrested that night. Obviously, I just wanted to go to sleep, and I would never hurt my sibling, but I was arrested for this very thing. All right, so 911 call. He says, I'm going to kill my brother. 911 operator says, you don't really want to kill your brother. And Issiah says, no, I don't. And then the 911 operator asks, do you have a gun? Issiah says, no. Do you have a weapon? No. And you can read the rest of the link yourself. Issiah, apparently he just wants to be left alone, he says. So he walks outside the house, walks down the road. I think he says he wants to walk away from everybody and just kind of cool down. Now, I can relate to that. This is exactly like my story. I just want to cool down. He got upset. It was a tough night, man. His car ran out of gas. He had to get a ride home from a cop. And now his brother's all over him, And I can relate to that. How many times has somebody said, I'm going to kill him? All right, so this officer, same officer that dropped him off. Now, this is what appears to have happened now that the body cam footage and the 911 call has been released. These things were just released last night. This is why I waited 24 hours to make this video, because there was something missing. And it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but at least there's a little context to it. All right. So the officer comes across Issiah Brown, the same guy he just gave a ride home to, not even an hour before. Now, this is the way I understand it. Issiah is talking not on a cell phone, but on a cordless home phone. One of those old cordless home phones. And in a lot of these reports, NBC, I think The Patch was recorded. These links will all be down below. You could hear the officer supposedly say, he's got a gun to his head. He's got a gun to his head. Put the gun down. He's approaching me. Stay away. And you hear the officer saying all this. So what it sounds like the officer is trying to tell 911 or to get it on recording that supposedly Issiah Brown has a gun to his head. He's talking on the cordless phone. All right. This is the same guy he just gave a ride home to. All right. Talking on a cordless phone. The cop knows he called the police, that he's on the phone, talking on the phone. Supposedly now, this cop thinks it's a gun to his head and shoots him 10 times. Okay, so the officer thinks that Issiah Brown has a weapon to his head. And in response to that, he empties his clip into Issiah Brown. Oh, he's going to commit suicide. Let me empty my revolver, my service weapon into him. That'll stop him. The story still doesn't make sense. It is one of the most bizarre stories I've come across. Talking about Ma'Khia Bryant yesterday, that was a hard video for me to make. The one thing that occurred to me, I'm going to skip over back to that, is that I realized that there's a good chance that that cop saved the other girl's life too. So, we have to take this all into account. I had a hard time making that video. I did. It was a no-win situation for that cop. If he didn't do anything, he'd be accused of letting that girl in pink be murdered. If he did do something, he would be accused of murdering the other girl. That was, I don't know. That's and that's how I felt about that video. And I had a hard time making that video. I'm not one to jump on a bandwagon. I call them like I see them. And sometimes the way I see it might not go over good. But I got to be honest. I got to be true to myself. And that's what I saw, that he actually saved the girl in pink. All right. So anyway, back to Issiah Brown. This story makes no sense. The links are down below. Like I said, I specifically came across this video. I wanted to make this video yesterday, but it made no sense at all. Yes, it still doesn't make sense. But yesterday, all that was reported was that the officer came back and just emptied the clip into Issiah Brown. Now, there's a little more context that the officer supposedly thought that the cordless phone was a gun to Issiah holding a gun to his head. So he empties his clip into Issiah Brown. Issiah's recovering in the hospital after being shot 10 times by the same officer that gave him a ride home for being out of gas. This story is just, I don't even know what to make of it. Like I said, I couldn't even talk about it yesterday. It's so bizarre. It's still so bizarre. All right. I'll be talking about it more. You guys have a good Saturday. I'll be back later with another video.